Buddy, Scoutcrafter here again. It's Friday, another double flag Friday. Let's get downstairs. We got a lot to get to with this part 2 of the Chinese Bridgeport copy. We got a lot to get to. Let's get downstairs. Okay, we're down the shop on a TGIF Friday. I know you all love Fridays, and rightly so. Couple things I want to start off talking about is, I did that hedge trimming video, with the hedge trimmer a couple, last week or something, and a couple people said, man, your yard looks a little bit overgrown, and, it's true. I love letting my backyard especially get kind of overgrown because I always loved wild areas, living in the city, as you know, and I'm only, 3 miles from Manhattan. However, as the crow flies, by the way, the problem is that in the city, there's not a lot of areas of wildlife, but this whole block, my block, for years, for 15 or 16 years, of my first 15 or 16 years growing up, across the street from me, there were no homes. It was just an empty, open lot. And so I could go in there and explore and live like I lived upstate. But then, they put in homes and things like that. So, you get kind of congested. But I do like my backyard to and it attracts all kinds of wildlife. I can't tell you all the wildlife we have in my area here. Obviously raccoon and possums or opossums. And we have all kinds of things. So look, my cat the other day, look what my cat brought up to me when I was sitting on the porch. I saw he had something in the mouth. I thought it was a mouse. I always save him. He's good like that. He don't mess him up. He just brings him to show me. Look what he brought to show me. Can you believe it? A little snake here. And I said, wow, look at that. And, how often do you see that in the city, right? So obviously I have to take it and then I let it go in an area where the cat can't get to in the backyard. And, but I have, like I said, big raccoons. And the other day I was coming home from my walk about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I look and I saw on my porch, I said, oh my goodness, what is that? I thought it was it looked like a baby bear. Obviously, we're not going to have bear, maybe not, but in this area, we don't have any bear, but a baby bear. And that's, if anybody that knows, if you've done any wilderness hiking, that's probably the most scary thing you could ever run into in your life is a baby bear. Because you all know what accompanies a baby bear, and that's an angry mom that isn't going to, take no for an answer. She's going to kick your butt. So when I saw that on the porch, I was like, oh, please tell me it's not a bear. But it wasn't. It was a possum, but he just had some weird ears that made him look like a little bear. He's a cute little guy. So obviously fed him, let him on his way. But, so I do enjoy the wildlife that you get when you leave some things overgrown, and I do love weeds. I tell you, I love weeds. I love the shape of them, the smell of them. We used to have all weeds across the street, and you don't have that. A lot of people have these funky trees, the ones I'm talking about, the lollipop trees and stuff. I don't know why people like those things, but anyway. So like I said, we got a lot to get to today. We have that project. We have to talk about the toilet paper and a couple other things. So let's get started right away. Let's take a look at how we're doing with the project. Okay, so now the JB Weld is totally dry. And again, to check, what I always do is you put the JB Weld, when you're mixing it up on a card, this is how you see. Now that is absolutely, there's no stickiness to it. It's absolutely solid dry. It was a good mix. So we have the JB Weld in here. The scales are on there solid now. They're bedded in there. But you see here, we have that lip over the top here. Nothing blends in. Same with the top here. We're going to have to blend all that in. We're going to have to finish this. So let's get to that, and then we'll, do a little color here, paint black. But this will make a good user hatchet, and I'll tell you why when we finish. But I countersunk these flathead screws in there, but I would like to take the grip down a little bit. It's a little bulky, so let's do that. Okay, now we're going to have to really do some work on the edge. See how much we got to take off here to make this nice. And, you know, we'll use the 700 vise to do that, but we're going to use the grinding wheel. And unlike the flap disc that we've been using, the flap disc is good. We're using the grinding wheel because that'll take off a lot of the excess here quickly. Okay, next up, a good friend of mine, Tommy. You've heard me mention him before. I went to Scouts with Tommy. 40 years I've known him. Anyway, he calls me up today. He says, "Hey, did you look out your front yet?" And I was like, "No, why?" He goes, "Look at what's attached to your fence." So I look out and look what he attached to the fence. He brought over a 48-inch aluminum rigid wrench. Now, I have one in steel that's on the to-do list, and I paid $50 for it at a flea market. He brought over an aluminum one he's had for years, and he says, "Yeah," he goes, "Yeah, I thought maybe you'd have some fun with this." Wow, you check this out. The only problem is there's a little bit of a bend on one end, and that's going to be something. I don't know if the DAKE could even handle this. Let's see what I mean. Now, even though it's aluminum, it still weighs in over 18 pounds, but it has a jaw capacity of over 6 inches. Look at the size of this jaw. It's just tremendous. Never seen one this big. And here we are at the DAKE, everybody's favorite. Let me show you this Rube Goldberg setup. Okay, we have the weight of the wrench supported by one of my steam pipes there, just to hold it so it's not dangling. Now you can see here we have it precariously hanging off the edge of this plate. And this is where the bend is. I marked it here. And you could see over here. So what we're going to try and do is, it's going to take a lot of, we'll see. We'll give this a try first. Okay, now the key always is to get the pressure. It's not so much how much pressure, it's where you put the pressure. So we're going to put it right on that bend there. And you can see already. Can you see it moving? I can already hear the wood starting to split and crack, especially over here. So let's redo that. Okay, some more wood blocking. We'll try it again. We took a little bit of a bend out before. Okay, gently adding pressure. Can you see it bending down? Because I could see this side moving up as I watch when I press down. You can see that side raising up. So obviously we're getting some movement here. Here we go. You can see a little bit more. Now, I'm at your height, so you could see it better than me, actually, because I got the camera low, but see, okay, let's just sit there. Now, look, we have it bowed, actually, so it's up the other way. This is where it's a lot of fun, but you got to be careful. There's a lot of stored pressure here, but we have, again, 2 tons. It don't take a lot of weight. It's only 2 tons, but it's how you position it. Okay, we repositioned it again because the bend, we got a little bit out of here. We're still a little bit towards the end there. And we're pressing down. Again, look at the other side of the wrench as we're adding pressure. You see how that's going up? Well, it's the same way here. We're going to press it down. You might hear the plywood starting to creak a little bit. That's okay. Again, we have this piece of steel here, so it takes the pressure between the 2 ridges. And definitely looks like we're moving. We got some serious movement there. Remember what I was talking about, going past it, because you're going to have spring back, and I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to release the pressure. See that spring back? That's all spring back. Now we'll check to see how it looks. You don't want to go past, because then you got to flip it and go the other way. Okay, you see we're looking down the wrench. You can see we still got a little bit of a bow right about here somewhere. Look at me. Right about here somewhere that we have to, but you can see we are definitely straightening it out. Okay, now we're working up the wrench, and we're following where the bend is as we slowly straighten it out. I'm going to move the camera back a little bit so you can see how the actual whole wrench moves as I add some pressure. Now again, the strength of this wrench is meant with the I-beam to be up and down, not side to side. So it's bending quite easily. You can see the whole wrench moving? So now it's just a matter of tweaking it. Again, we're just over 2 tons, you see? So we're not using a lot of pressure here, and you can see it's bowing the other way now until I release the pressure. See that? And we're going to just keep tweaking it back and forth until we get it. It's funny, I've had people ask me, they say, "Do you think this 12 or 20 ton press is enough?" And I'm like, absolutely. I mean, the majority of things I do, you know, you very rarely go with a lot of weight. You just, you know, it's all again where you put the pressure. Here we go, we're bending again a little bit. We're going slow because, you know, obviously aluminum is, it doesn't tend to snap like steel does, so it's malleable more or less. Okay, we're just bringing it up. You can see that bow, and watch when I release. You can see how much bend it has in the actual wrench. Here's another view. Okay, we're calling this good enough for government work. That looks pretty straight there to me. So now we're going to, well, we'll work on it when we get to this project. Special thanks to my buddy Tommy for that awesome wrench. Hopefully, as soon as it gets cooler, we'll be tackling that project. Okay, we got enough time into this now. You know, you get that amount of time where you say, okay, I'm done with this. Look at that. You know, the handle's coming nice, right? Look at that. It's so much nicer when it's grinded down. But we're going to put a little gun stock on there to darken it up just a little bit. We blended in all the edges here. Feels beautiful in the hand. I'm telling you, every edge on here we took down so that there's no sharp edges. Even all the edges around here just coming. And we didn't even finish yet. We still got to go to the fiber wheel and polish. But yeah, first we're going to do this. We don't want to get any fiber wheel or polish onto the handle. So we're going to wipe this down, and we'll put a little gun stock on here and then start shellacking it. That's why this project's taking so long. And you know my favorite part. Remember what this Chinese hatchet looked like before we started. And we're calling this project done. This Asian hatchet came out nice, expecting exactly what we expected. You can see what we did here. We colored in a little black in here, a little red in there. You can see this here now. You can see that it says the Swordfish brand, made in China. We just did a little bit of the cleaning up over here. Now, these edges, the way this is formed, this axe, it's really a kind of a splitting axe, but it's a multi-use axe, and I'll tell you why. It kind of falls in a weird category because it has that solid steel handle. It's kind of meant to be almost indestructible, but the weak point is the scales. If they're not fastened really strong to that iron handle, you're going to have issues, and that's exactly what happened with this, and what happens with a lot of Bridgeports. So that's why I put in these extra heavy, larger countersunk screws to hold that in, plus the epoxy bedding. This handle is a lifetime handle now. The other way with pins, they can always loosen up. Let's see what else we did. We polished around the side, the face. Remember, the face was a little screwed to the top here. We redid the edge here, okay? But you could see here, we just, again, we did, it's not super sharp, not shaving sharp, but I'll tell you what we're going to use it for. And the back, remember how the back looked before? And we just did a nice little cleanup on the back. It feels so much better in the hand now. These screws are flush. You do not feel them when you have your hand on any part of the handle. And again, we did both. Remember how these were, was all screwed. But again, it's, it is what it is. Let me point out a couple things. First of all, a couple people were saying about indexing or clocking or timing the screw heads. And that is when you line up, like if you have the bottom one facing up, you have the top one facing up. Unfortunately, you could do it with this, but it's very difficult when you're dealing with something from both ends, because this has to be super tight. See, if you're dealing with a wall switch or something like that, you can always go a little bit past and back, and it's still going to remain tight enough, for the wall switch to hang on. These have to be extremely tight. You don't have time to mess around. Now, the only thing you could do is to remove the screw, countersink it a little bit more, put it in some more. There's a whole bunch of ways about clocking and timing screws that I can get into, but it is a job, and it's an extra It takes me a long time to get them right where they're tight. A lot of people do it wrong. A lot of people go and then they'll back it off. So they're loosening it. It's not really the fastener the way it's supposed to be. To do it right, it has to be tight as it can get at the position you want. And there are ways to do it, but it's a little bit of a... And you can see here the wood grain has a nice grain to here. I'm very satisfied with the way that handle came out. I like it. And let me show you a couple ways you might use a tool like this. And I hate to call it like a hatchet because it's different than a hatchet. It's again with that steel, that metal handle. Let me show you how I would use something like this. Now, the geometry of this edge is extremely strong because it's robust going down to a point, but it's not thin that it'll bend or chip. So it's a very strong geometry, and also the curve of it makes it ideal for using it for things like this. Now, I would put this, if I went to split this piece of wood or something, I'd put on here, and I would use a dead blow hammer because the back of this is curved to a point where it would be perfect for striking on the back with a hammer. And again, you could see with just a little force, you know, you could cut through so many things using this as a chopper, as like a fro. Okay, the results were in for the toilet paper question that I had asked, and you know, just like the rest of the country, I wasn't shocked, but again, they were right about at least 70% of you are over the top people, and you know, that puts me in the 30% category of from behind, coming from behind, and that was very interesting, and a lot of people had some great comments on why they do it or how they do it. Wire, my buddy Wire from Wireworks, had a great comment. He was saying that, you know, he worked in the printing industry for many years, and he says all paper has a front and a back. And it was interesting to hear him say that actually one side is softer than the other, or, you know, has a different feel to it. I use Scott brand, and that, I swear, that seems the same on both sides, but he says that one side is softer than the other, which is something to be interesting to know, right? Or the way you're folding it up. I hope you're not crumbling it. I hope you're not a crumbler. It should be folded, correct? Okay, that was a fun project that turned out pretty much the way we were hoping it would. It turned out very well, and that should last through anything. You could use it for all kinds of chopping, things like that. And don't be shy to use a dead blow hammer along with some of your hatchets and things like that. It really increases the usefulness of those tools. Next up, I will see some of you tomorrow at the Kent, Connecticut, the Connecticut Antique Machinery Association, CAMA, over in Kent. And if you make it there, I'll be there probably from 9 to a little after noon. Just a beautiful place. If you can make it, you will enjoy it. I promise you, the weather looks like it's going to be spectacular. 71 degrees, nice. Also, I am filming this on Thursday, so looking forward to tomorrow. Hopefully we'll be getting some interesting news out of Arizona. I know a lot of us have been looking for that. So we got a few things going on, and maybe I will see you on Saturday. I hope so if you're in the area. I hope you have a great weekend. Take care now. Bye-bye.